Imagine two people walking down the same road. Both work, receive a salary, and make choices every month. The difference between them isn't in how much they earn, but in what they do with the money after it reaches their hands. Robert Kiyosaki always explains this in a simple way. Assets put money in your pocket, even when you're not working. Liabilities take money out of your pocket month after month. An asset can be a small business, a property that generates rent, a stake in something that produces income, or investments that grow over time. They function like small, silent gears. You build once, and then they keep turning. Liabilities, on the other hand, seem like rewards but behave like commitments. They're choices that demand constant payment, maintenance, interest, or expenses that never stop. At first, it doesn't seem like a problem. But over time, these expenses start to decide your life for you. Kiyosaki says that the rich don't ask first, "Will this give me pleasure now?" They ask, "Will this generate income later?" This rule changes everything, because when you start prioritizing assets, even small ones, something powerful happens. Money starts working for you, not the other way around. Each choice becomes a step toward more freedom, more time, and more peace in the future. And that's how wealth building begins. Not with how much you earn, but with what you decide to buy. After understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, Robert Kiyosaki's second lesson emerges almost as a natural consequence. He says that most people live trapped in a simple and tiring exchange: time for money. They work more hours, make more effort, but always remain in the same place. Kiyosaki teaches that the rich think differently. They don't just ask, "How much do I earn per hour?" but rather, "How can I earn even when I'm not working?" That's where the idea of making money work for you comes in. Imagine money as an employee. If you spend it all every month, it leaves and never comes back. But if you put it in assets, it starts to produce. It may be little at first, almost imperceptible. But over time, this money starts to generate more money, creating a cycle that strengthens month after month. While many people depend on a single salary, those who follow this rule build income sources. They continue functioning during the night, on weekends, and even when you decide to stop to rest. This doesn't mean stopping work, but rather working intelligently. Kiyosaki makes it clear, financial freedom doesn't come from working non-stop, but from building something that continues to yield even when you're not present. When you understand this, money stops being an end and becomes a powerful tool in your favor. If this content is speaking to you, if at some point you realize that these ideas make sense for your financial life, like this video now, this shows the algorithm that this type of content needs to reach more people who also want to change their lives with awareness, strategy, and long-term vision. Robert Kiyosaki always reinforces an idea that many people ignore. It's not the lack of money that prevents someone from getting rich. It's the lack of financial education. Money may come in, but without knowledge, it always finds a way to leave. Think of two people who receive the same amount. One spends everything quickly, without planning, without understanding interest, taxes, or investments. The other stops, analyzes, learns, and makes better choices. Over time, the difference between them becomes enormous, even though they started from the same point. Kiyosaki says that the greatest asset isn't in the bank, but in the mind. Those who understand how money works know how to identify opportunities, avoid traps, and make decisions with more security. This person doesn't depend on luck because they know what they're doing. Financial education isn't something complicated or distant. It's learning the basics, how to protect what you earn, how to make money grow, and how not to lose everything in impulsive decisions. When you learn this, fear decreases and confidence increases. According to Kiyosaki, before seeking more money, seek more knowledge, because when the mind grows, wealth grows along with it. And this is a rule that accompanies you for the rest of your life. When talking about debt, most people feel fear, and with good reason. Many debts really trap, take away sleep, and consume the future. But Robert Kiyosaki makes a clear distinction. Not all debt is equal. He explains that there's bad debt that used for consumption, for things that lose value and only generate bills. This debt weakens. Good debt is used as a tool. It serves to acquire assets that generate income and grow over time. Kiyosaki compares debt to a lever. If used without control, it knocks down. But when used with strategy and knowledge, it helps lift something bigger than you could achieve alone. The secret is understanding whether that debt puts money in your pocket or just increases your obligation. The rich don't automatically run from debt. They analyze, calculate, and only move forward when they know that the acquired asset can pay for its own debt and still generate surplus. It's not impulse, it's planning. This rule requires financial education and discipline. Without it, debt becomes a burden. With it, it transforms into a growth instrument. Kiyosaki teaches that it's not about avoiding risks at all costs, but about learning to use them in your favor. Many people believe that getting rich is earning a high salary. But Robert Kiyosaki states that this is a common mistake. Have you seen people who earn a lot and still live in debt? This happens because wealth isn't about how much comes in, but about what's left over. Cash flow is exactly this, the path that money takes every month, how much comes in and how much goes out. If more goes out than comes in, no matter the size of the salary, the result will always be worry. If more comes in than goes out, even gradually, you start to build stability. Kiyosaki teaches that rich people observe money like a manager observes a company. They know exactly where each entry comes from and where each exit goes. Nothing is loose, nothing is in the dark. This brings control and clarity. When you master cash flow, you start making better decisions. You avoid unnecessary expenses, strengthen your assets, and direct money toward what really builds the future. Gradually, money stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a growth tool. According to Kiyosaki, those who control cash flow control their own financial destiny. And this skill separates those who just work from those who really build wealth. For Robert Kiyosaki, there's something that accompanies all these rules and makes the difference between those who advance and those who stay stuck in the same place for years. It's the long-term mentality, along with the courage to make mistakes and learn from your own path. He explains that no one builds wealth without making mistakes. They're part of the process. The problem isn't making mistakes, it's not learning from them. Many people give up at the first attempt because they're afraid to fail. Those who think like investors understand that each mistake brings a valuable lesson. Kiyosaki says that financial growth happens when you allow yourself to try, observe the result, and adjust the course. This cycle strengthens confidence and expands knowledge. Gradually, what seemed difficult starts to make sense, and better decisions become natural. Thinking long-term also means not seeking immediate results at any cost. Solid wealth is built with patience, discipline, and consistency. Small actions repeated over time create great transformations. Those who accept to learn, adjust, and continue keep evolving. Those who run from mistakes remain exactly where they are. And it's this posture toward money, life, and decisions that separates those who just dream from those who really build financial freedom. And when this mentality is established, something silent starts to happen. The way of looking at money changes. You stop reacting to situations and start acting with awareness. Each decision stops being emotional and becomes strategic. Kiyosaki teaches that financially intelligent people don't move by impulse. They observe, analyze, and only then make decisions. This creates a sense of control that many people have never experienced. Money stops being a constant problem and becomes part of a plan. Over time, you realize you're not just accumulating resources, but building tranquility. Pressure decreases, choices increase, and the future stops seeming uncertain. Not because everything became perfect, but because now there's direction. This journey doesn't require haste, it requires constancy. One well-thought step today is worth more than 10 impulsive decisions tomorrow. That's how the foundation of wealth strengthens, with clarity, discipline, and vision. And when you understand this, you realize that money was never the final goal. It's just the means that allows you to live with more freedom, more choices, and more security throughout life. With this foundation built, a change emerges that many people from outside don't perceive, but that transforms everything inside. You start to understand that wealth isn't an event. It's a continuous process. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens every day, in small decisions. Kiyosaki reinforces that those who build wealth think in years, not weeks. While many give up from not seeing quick results, those who maintain long-term vision keep advancing. Each learning adds up. Each conscious choice strengthens the path. At this point, money starts to obey clear rules: when to spend, when to invest, and when to wait. There's no constant anxiety because there's planning. And when a challenge arises, it's treated as part of the game, not as a sign to give up. Gradually, you realize you're not just improving your financial life, but developing maturity. Money stops controlling your emotions. You start controlling your decisions. That's how true wealth is built, with vision, patience, and the willingness to keep going, even when progress seems slow. Because in the end, those who keep learning and adjusting the path always go further. And it's exactly at this stage that many people realize something important. They don't need to know everything to start. Kiyosaki always makes it clear that progress comes from learning while walking, not from waiting for the perfect moment. Confidence grows when you understand the basics and apply them with consistency. Each small victory strengthens the next decision. A well-chosen asset, an avoided expense, a more conscious choice. None of this seems big in isolation, but together they build something solid. Over time, you start to see opportunities where before you only saw risks. Not because the risks disappeared, but because now you know how to evaluate them. This brings clarity and reduces fear, which is one of the biggest financial blocks. This evolution doesn't just change the bank account, it changes behavior. You start to plan, to think before acting, and to respect the process. Money stops being something distant or confusing and becomes part of your life's strategy. And when this mentality is consolidated, you understand that wealth isn't about arriving quickly, but about not stopping. Those who keep learning, adjusting, and advancing build a stronger, more stable future with much more freedom. At this point in the journey, it's clear that the true transformation doesn't happen outside, but inside. Kiyosaki's rules work because they change the way you think, decide, and act every day. Money starts to follow the mentality, not the other way around. You start to perceive patterns. You understand why certain people always live in tight spots and why others, even earning less, manage to advance. The difference is in the discipline of applying what they learned, even when no one is watching. Each conscious choice strengthens your autonomy. You no longer depend only on salary increases or luck. There's a plan in motion, and this brings security. Even if the path is still long, now it's clear. Kiyosaki teaches that financial freedom doesn't arise from a great stroke of luck, but from the repetition of correct decisions over time. Those who respect this process build something that isn't easily lost. And when you understand this, you realize you're playing a different game, a game where the goal isn't just to make money, but to conquer time, choices, and tranquility for the future. From there, the relationship with the future also changes. It stops being something uncertain and becomes something that's being built now. Each financial decision becomes a brick in this construction, whether small or large. Kiyosaki always reinforces that those who take responsibility for their own money also take control of their own life. There's no longer the feeling of being at the mercy of circumstances. There's direction. There's awareness. Even when unforeseen events arise, they don't paralyze. Because now there's preparation, understanding, and a foundation that was being formed over time. Fear decreases, not because challenges end, but because you know how to face them. This process brings something rare, tranquility. Not the kind that comes from avoiding risks, but the one born from knowledge and clarity. You know where you are, you know where you're going, and you know what steps you need to take. And that's how these rules stop being just ideas and become part of life. When applied with constancy, they transform not only the financial situation, but the way of living, choosing, and planning for tomorrow. And it's exactly here that motivation stops being fleeting excitement and transforms into internal strength. You realize you're no longer waiting for a perfect opportunity or a financial miracle. You've become the person capable of creating your own path. Kiyosaki teaches that each conscious step, however small it may seem, is a victory. Because most people never start. They remain trapped in fear, doubt, and comparison. Those who advance understand that evolution doesn't require perfection, it requires decision. At this moment, you start to trust yourself more. You trust what you learn, what you build, and the vision you're developing. Money stops being an enemy or a mystery and becomes a well-managed ally. Daily discipline starts to show results. Perhaps they're not big numbers yet, but they're clear signs of progress. And these signs feed something powerful. The certainty that you're on the right path. Kiyosaki reinforces that those who persist win not because they had fewer difficulties, but because they didn't give up when it got hard. Wealth is born from continuity, from the courage to keep going, and from the decision not to turn back. And when this mentality is established, you understand that changing your life isn't a distant dream. It's a real, possible construction that already began the moment you decided to learn and act. From this point on, what sustains growth is no longer excitement, it's identity. You start acting like someone who takes care of their own financial future, even when no one is watching. Choices become more conscious because now there's purpose behind them. Kiyosaki teaches that financially mature people know how to wait. They don't chase shortcuts or easy promises. They prefer to build something solid, even if it takes longer. This strategic patience is rare, and precisely because of that, it generates different results. Another important point is that you stop comparing yourself. The focus shifts from other people's lives and returns to your plan. This reduces distractions, avoids impulsive decisions, and keeps you in constant movement without detours. With this posture, money starts to align with your decisions, not by luck, but because now there's direction. Each choice has a reason. Each step has a clear objective. It's at this stage that wealth stops being just a number and starts representing freedom of choices, tranquility, and the ability to conduct your own life with more security. With this clarity, something that few people develop emerges: financial self-control. It's not about cutting everything or living in fear of spending. It's about knowing exactly when to advance and when to wait. This skill protects what you build. Kiyosaki always highlighted that great losses don't come from lack of money, but from decisions made at the wrong time. Those who learn to wait avoid costly mistakes and preserve energy for the right opportunities. At this stage, you start to notice that time starts working in your favor, not because you did something extraordinary, but because you maintained consistency. While many change plans every week, you remain firm on the same path. This constancy creates a solid foundation. Even when challenges arise, they don't disorganize everything. There's structure, preparation, and vision. Money stops being unstable and starts to obey clear rules. That's how real financial security is built, with calm decisions, strategic vision, and the discipline to continue even when no one is applauding. And it's precisely there that a new feeling appears, silent confidence. You don't need to prove anything to anyone because you know what you're building. Your decisions become firmer, not from pride, but from clarity. Kiyosaki teaches that those who master the basics don't get carried away by fads. They don't chase everything that appears. They analyze, understand, and choose calmly. This avoids mistakes and strengthens growth over time. You start to realize that each financial choice carries a cumulative effect. Nothing is isolated. What you do today directly influences tomorrow's possibilities. This awareness completely changes the way you act. At this point, money stops being something unstable. It starts responding to your decisions, your planning, and your discipline. There's no longer a feeling of lack of control, because now there's method. And when you understand this, you realize you're building something that goes far beyond money. You're building stability, freedom, and the ability to live with less worry and more direction. And with this consolidated foundation, you realize that financial growth isn't just about accumulating money, but about improving skills and future vision. Each decision stops being just a present choice and becomes an investment in what's to come. Kiyosaki teaches that people who think this way develop strategic resilience. They understand that not everything happens quickly, that obstacles arise, but that each challenge is an opportunity to learn and strengthen. You also start to perceive the value of surrounding yourself with knowledge and good references. It's not luck, it's preparation. Each book read, each course taken, each piece of advice studied increases your ability to make intelligent decisions. With this, money stops being something you desperately chase. It becomes a natural consequence of the right choices and the correct mentality. And it's at this point that the transformation becomes visible, not just in the bank balance, but in confidence, control, and the freedom to make decisions that really matter for your life. And now, when you look at this entire path, you realize that wealth building goes far beyond earning more money. It's about thinking strategically, acting with discipline, and learning constantly. Each Kiyosaki rule we follow, each conscious decision we make, brings us closer to real and sustainable financial freedom. The most important thing is to understand that the power is in your hands. You can start small, but each consistent step adds up. Each intelligent choice strengthens your journey, and each lived learning transforms your future. It's not about luck, but about mentality, courage, and action. If this video is speaking to you, like it now and subscribe to the channel, because here you learn to make money work in your favor, step by step, in a practical and clear way. We want to see you grow, evolve, and conquer the freedom you deserve. And tell me in the comments, which of these rules will you apply first in your financial life?